All right, Mike, what you got for it?
Y'all pretty much got it, man. Let's just go into these three keys. Start with the Atlanta Falcons.
Hold on. Yeah, yes, John Brown that played for the Buffalo Bills. Yes.
Buffalo Bills. Yes, that guy.
Yeah.
But I'll just get straight into the three keys, man, for the Falcons. The first one, I think is probably the most important. Obviously, we just finished talking about John Brown. He's a speedster. The previous show, I pretty much stated that the Falcons are having trouble getting open. When you look at Russell Gage, I don't think he's a guy that is a speedster. He isn't a guy that you're gonna put him on the outside and say, "All right, go beat this guy deep." That's not his game. His game is to run routes, precise routes, and play off of speedsters like a Olamide Zaccheaus, Calvin Ridley. His game is to play off of those guys. So when you have those guys like him, it's not that he isn't a quality wide receiver. He just doesn't do well as that main guy getting open. So that's not his game. So you got to put him in positions like he did with Kyle Pitts. He put Kyle Pitts on the outside, and then Russell Gage was able to do his thing. Now, granted that he had the ankle injury, you're not going to see that. See him with the lack of effort that we saw in the Pittsburgh that kind of resulted in a pick six. Just wasn't healthy. So those things happen. But the receivers got to get open, man. They signed Juwan Green as well to the practice squad. So these guys are going to have to step up. It really just comes step up, and he's going to be able to. He got to get creative. So I expect Kyle Pitts to really get a lot of targets on the outside. I think he's going to have a lot of targets. Here you go. K-Style, why you always laughing, bro? I knew you was going to, as soon as you put that
up. Somebody brought it up. I had to do it, man. It's my buddy from Buffalo and also buddy from the Chiefs. Yes, we got both
buddy from the Chiefs. But yeah, but the receivers got to do a better job.
My bad, Mike, but shout out to Twisted Torch TV in the chat. Make sure y'all show him some love as well.
Mm-hmm.
Devon Stanford as well. All right, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, but the receivers got to. The first one is obviously the receivers got to get open. You can't allow. There was quite a few times that Matt Ryan in the offensive line actually did protect well, but the receivers aren't getting open outside of Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley can't. They double and tripling him. They pretty much clouding. They pushing all their coverage towards Calvin Ridley and daring everybody else to get open. So that's the first one. Receivers got to get open. Second one, a lot of people, even Jew, he stated that he got to see his boy Dante Fowler do something. And Dante Fowler had one hell of a game. He needs to repeat that. All right, the Falcons defensive line, they got to continue to win their one-on-ones. I saw Jacob Tuimarina. He did a great job of winning his one-on-ones. He had a few. I think he had a couple, 2 or 3 opportunity to get after the quarterback. He put pressure on Tom Brady. He put pressure. You guys saw Marlon Davis, and he got a sack. Him and Grady Jarrett was just wreaking havoc. And Ogun Daisy, he had a few. Did not have a lot of opportunities, but when he got in there, you saw what he could do. So the defensive line, got to continue to win their one-on-ones. Grady's just an animal. It's just nothing you can do with him. That dude was in the backfield. Look, I know he was scared. I saw the way he was looking on that sideline when he just saw Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett was a one-man wrecking crew. They stopped these guys. There's something that people not even talking about. If the Falcons shut that offense down in the second half, Grady Jarrett and those balls up front, they got after that Bucs team. So they got to continue to win their one-on-one. And the third one, and it's not just Fabian Moreau, but you cannot capitalize off your mistakes. You get an opportunity to get picks, you got to capitalize. I saw 3 times during the game They had an opportunity to get a fumble, and they didn't recover the fumble. They had an opportunity to get the interception off a bad pass. We didn't get that because nobody's really paying attention. And the third one was Fabian Rowe. He just dropped. He could have easily, if he, positioned himself right, he could have took that thing to the house for a pick six. But he wasn't. He dropped the pass. So you got to capitalize off those mistakes. So those are the three keys to victory. Wide receivers have to get open. The second one, Fowler and the defensive line got to continue to win their one-on-ones. And the third one is the DBs got to capitalize off their opportunities to get them turnovers, man.
Go ahead, Jude. What you got for them?
All right. So 3 keys to victory for our Atlanta Falcons. Number 1, I've been saying this for the last couple weeks. I haven't said it in my keys to victory, I don't think. I've been saying it on the post-game show, but it's going to be the keys to victory this week. Get out to a fast start. Get out to a fast start. Come out, jump on these guys. I believe this game is going to be played in New York. Take the crowd out the game. Come out fast, jump on these guys. New York has a bad offensive line. So Dante Fowler and the crew, Grady Jarrett, all of those guys up front that balled out against Tampa, their offensive line is atrocious for the Giants. They arguably have the worst offensive line in the game. So get after Daniel Jones in this game. Jump out to an early lead and make them one-dimensional. Don't allow them to run the ball with Saquon Barkley. Don't allow them to make short passes and stuff like that. Put this game in Daniel Jones' hands to win. So jump out to an early lead. If you jump out to an early lead, you put pressure on Daniel Jones. You put pressure on that offensive line of the New York Giants. So that's the first thing. The second thing in this game, win the turnover battle. Mike just talked about it. When you get a chance to intercept the ball, catch the football. If you knock the ball out, sometimes you can't help, like that ball rolled out of bounds when Foyer punched it out. It was a heads-up play. Sometimes that happened. The ball don't bounce your way, but that still was a heads-up play by him because they lost yardage when he knocked the ball out of bounds. So that was a heads-up play. So in this game, we need to win the turnover battle. If we win the turnover battle, New York is going to be on their heels and they're going to be in trouble. The third key to victory in this game is really going to come down to coaching. I like what I've seen out of Arthur Smith and Dean Pease, but in this game, let's keep these guys off balance like we did in this game against Tampa. I want to see a ton of different formations to throw these guys off. We did a good job of that in the red zone as far as scoring touchdowns in this last game. We need to do the same thing in this game and keep these guys off balance. I want to see that wildcat again that we saw. It was a fumble by Cordell Patterson, but I want to see it again in the red zone. I want to see, like I was always talked about, motion these guys out, jet sweeps, keep these guys off balance. I want to see those toss. Like we had a lot of tosses in the last game where we challenged the edge. New York is another team that has Dexter Lawrence, I believe Leonard Williams. Those are the inside guys that they have playing up front, but they're suspect on the edges. They do have the young kid out of Georgia that I wanted the Falcons to take. Ojulari plays for the Giants. So he's one of those guys on the edge, but they're still kind of weak on the edges. So challenge those edges and let's see if Cordell Patterson, let's see if we can throw some screens, maybe to Zacchaeus on the outside, get the ball into the playmakers' hands quick and allow those guys to do what they do best. Don't have Matt Ryan back there holding on to the ball. I thought the game plan last week was really good, but we need to stay ahead of the chains. I mean, that's important because we know our offensive line kind of has struggled. So if you get out to an early start, you stay ahead of the chains, you won't allow them to get that pass rush going because the secondary of the Giants is suspect. They only have one good corner, and that's James Bradbury. Opposite him, they don't have a lot of good guys on that back end. So we can take advantage of that back end with Kyle Pitts, with Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst is a key in this game to me, him and Kyle Pitts. I haven't really seen a whole lot out of Hayden Hurst in that last game as far as, catching passes. I think they need to get him involved, even if it's on a tight end screen. I mean, that was something that our last offensive coordinator, Dirk Cutter, loved throwing those screens to our slowest tight end, one of our slower tight ends when we had Austin Hooper. But Hayden Hurst and Kyle Pitts, these guys run 4-4, 4-5, 4-5. These guys are like wide receivers. So allow those guys on the offensive line to, throw them a screen pass. let these guys get out in front of Hayden Hurst, because nobody's trying to tackle Hayden Hurst or Kyle Pitts one-on-one. If you see those freight trains coming at you, you're not trying to tackle them as a corner or a safety. So put those guys out in space and let them do what they do best. And that's pretty much it. So the 3 keys for me: get out to a fast start, win the turnover battle, and then smart coaching. Like, be creative. Dean Pease on that defensive side of things, bring pressure, because Daniel Jones' offensive line is horrible and he will make errors. He will fumble the ball. He will throw the ball to you. But we just got to capitalize. When he throws the ball to you, we got to catch it. If you bat the ball up, somebody got to come down with an interception. You got to come away with a fumble in this game. If you do that, you'll take the air out of that crowd there in New York, because they have a crazed fan base up there in New York. Even though they're 0-2 just like us, they're going to be fighting like hell to win this game. We got to go in there and punch these guys in the mouth early and take the wind out of their sails early and out of that crowd.
Oh, man, I like y'all keys, man. I think I might my keys. I'm gonna give my first key that I'm gonna give is I need to see variety offensively, because we have to attack. We have to find a way to attack all 3 levels of that defense. That's where the interceptions came from last week. It was the fact that we wasn't attacking all 3 levels. We could blame, we could put it on offensive line, we could put it on coaching, but the thing at the end of the day is they have to attack these linebackers. They have to attack them. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with dinking and dunking, but use the dink and dunk to set up the medium routes, the 7 to 10 yard routes. Take that occasional shot. If it's there, don't force it. Because, like I said, that's the thing. And like I said, and the reason why I say it is because I kind of have a feeling we haven't seen the full extent of this offense. Like I said, you've seen a lot of short stuff to try to get the confidence of the offense going. But you gotta take those shots, because like Ju said, outside of really Julius Peppers and James Bradbury, their secondary is not the greatest. So if you have an opportunity to do so, you take it. That's my first key. My second key, do not underestimate this offense. Do not underestimate the Giants' offense. Like I said, they have a terrible offensive line. We know Saquon Barkley is a home run hitter. The only thing with Saquon Barkley is, if y'all actually pay attention to how his game is, most of his yards usually come from one run, and the rest of them is usually 2 yards in a cloud of dust. But you don't want to take that for granted. They're going to try. They're going to run a lot. They're going to try to RPO our defense to death. So what you want to do is, if AJ Terrell don't play, you got to find a way to bust him in the mouth in less than 3 seconds. That's what you got to do. And my third key is we need 60 minutes of football. This kind of goes into what Ju was talking about with getting off to that fast start, but we have to do it for 60 minutes. It like I said, it can't be one of those things where we go off to a fast start, sputter, and then try to play catch up at the end. No, it has to be a continuous flow for 60 minutes, which means if your running game is working, use it to set your play action game up. And do it for 60 minutes. I'm just gonna keep saying this. We have to play 60 minutes football, both sides of the ball, offense, defense, and special teams. Because if we don't, like I said, it's gonna be a long. I ain't gonna say it's gonna be a long day, because I still think we can win this game. But it's gonna be one of those. Oh, hold on. Let me get my towel out because I'm still sweating. We don't need one of that. We gotta bust them in the mouth. Plain and simple. And those would be my 3 keys right there.
Let's get straight to the Giants' keys to victory. And the first one for me, obviously, well, AJ Terrell, I believe he will go, but the jury's still out. I don't know if it has been confirmed whether or not he has a concussion. I say he had, I think it was concussion symptoms, but I don't think they came out and said it was concussion. So for the Giants, they got to come out and attack our DBs. They got to. If there's a hole, you got to exploit it, whether it's on pick routes, it doesn't matter. They got to go at our DBs, and in particular, the corners. You got to go at the corners. If you don't go at the corner, you're not doing yourself a favor. The second one is they got to get the same, almost the exact same thing for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's that, they got Williams. They have Williams and they have Dexter Lawrence there. I believe his name is Arthur Johnson Jones. I forget his name. They have another DT there also, defensive lineman there also, but they have to get interior pressure. You can't fool around and think your edges are going to get home on the Atlanta Falcons. That's actually the Falcons' strength is Caleb McGarry, Jake Matthews. Those guys are the strength. Right now, Matt Ryan is just not happy with Matt Hennessy. I know a lot of you guys have seen the pictures where he looking right in Hennessy's eyes. We can't have that miscommunication from our center, just missing everything. He's not blocking anybody. Like that can't happen. So the interior line for the Giants, y'all got to set the tone. Set the tone early, and try to prevent the Falcons from getting off to that fast start. You're gonna have to attack that inside. Second one, obviously, Jones got to get into a rhythm. He got to get into a rhythm. One thing I know about Dean Pease is he's going to make that adjustment. Once he figures out what you're doing, it could be in the first quarter, it could be in the second half, like he did with Tampa, but he's going to figure it out and he's going to slow you down. So he has to get off to a fast start. If he doesn't get off to a fast start, you ain't nothing but look, you lunch meat, all right? You lunch meat, you spaghetti, you all that. You what? Some Kentucky Fried Chicken. You Popeye chicken at that moment. So, look, you better get out to a fast start or you're gonna be toast. Third one, you gotta take advantage of our punt. If Nizalak is still the punter, y'all gotta take advantage of our special teams. All right. If he shanks another punt, hopefully that doesn't happen. But if he shanks another punt, y'all got to score like Tampa did right off the bat. You have to take advantage of situations and opportunities you have during the game. So capitalize off of special teams opportunity because, like the Falcons, Koo is one of the better kickers. I don't expect him to miss any kicks. He very seldom misses kicks. I think he was a Pro Bowl alternate last year as a kicker. He had the most points, I believe, also as a kicker. So, kicking game, I don't think that'd be an issue. But again, you got to get interior pressure. Williams, Lawrence, they got to set the tone. Second, they have to get Jones in a rhythm, and they have to capitalize off the Atlanta Falcons' mistakes on special teams. Honestly, I'm just gonna be real. I know everybody's down on the offensive line for the Falcons, but what really did the Falcons in was those shank punts. The special teams, K-Style say all the time, that's what really killed us from really coming back, those shank punts.
All right, so keys to victory for the New York Giants, if you're a Giants fan. Key to victory number one is the defensive line and the offensive line, the trenches. We always talk about the trenches, and the inside of our offensive line just, they're improving. But if I'm the Giants, I'm thinking that Hennessy is lunch meat. I'm thinking that Jalen Mayfield is a rookie, so I'm about to take his lunch money. So I'm thinking that we coming in and try to bully these guys. I don't care what nobody say. I love my Falcons, and yeah, they're getting better, but you want to come in early and take their confidence. And when there's a young player out there, a lot of the times young players lose their confidence easy, especially if, they get off to a bad start, because then they're thinking, here we go again. We're already 0-2. Here we go again. Week 3, we're having the same issues. We're missing blocks. You know what I'm saying? We're not, picking up the right assignments on blitzes and things of that nature. I'm not making the right calls if I'm Hennessy. So if I'm the Giants, I'm blitzing. I'm not, sitting back in coverage because they don't have good coverage linebackers. So if I'm them, I'm blitzing A-gap pressure all day. I'm coming up, the gut. Like he said, our strength is our tackles. So I'm not even worried about coming on the outside. I'm bringing all my blitzes. I'm bringing those linebackers down. I'm bringing safeties down, and I'm doing delayed blitzes. I'm doing just like we seen with Todd Bowles. I'm blitzing like crazy until the Falcons show me on tape that they're picking up and they clean up that offensive line, the inside of that offensive line. I'm going after those guys like a wolf or like a shark. When you smell blood, you attack. And that's what I would do if I was the Giants defense. I'm not going to just assume because Arthur Smith was an offensive lineman that he's cleaned up those things and that they got better over 1 week. I'm bringing it every time until they prove that that's no longer a weakness. So if I'm the Giants, that's key number one. On the defensive line, we're coming out trying to bully these guys. We're trying to throw their confidence off. Like I said, we're trying to get this crowd into this game, because if we get up early, it's hard for those offensive linemen to hear the snap count. That's when those false starts and things like that come into play. So if I'm the defensive line and the defense, I'm trying to get a turnover. I'm trying to pressure Matt Ryan and force, another tip pass like we seen in this last game. Key to victory number 2 for the Giants. Mike said it. He hit the nail on the head. If AJ Terrell's not in this game, and even if he is in this game, I'm testing the Falcons deep. I'm testing them deep. I'm putting the guy Slayton out there from Auburn. He dropped a key touchdown pass last week where they could have won that game. That would have put the game away. He's a speedster. I'm running the ball and setting up that play action, and I'm going deep. They got Kenny Golladay from the Lions, who pretty much ate us, tore us apart last year with the Lions. He made a lot of key catches, tough catches. He's a bigger wide receiver, physical, kind of like a Plexico Bears, 6'3", 6'4", tall, lanky. I'm throwing that ball up and seeing if anybody can jump with him. TJ Green is not a proven corner. So I'm challenging him. Whoever TJ Green is covering, if AJ Terrell's not out there, that's the matchup that I'm looking at if I'm Daniel Jones. I'm licking my chops, and I want to see if TJ Green, can prove to me that he's a starting caliber cornerback. They also, I don't know if Evan Ingram's playing in this game, their tight end, but he's really good as well as far as he's a fast tight end. He drops a lot of passes, but he's a guy that can get open because he's really fast. So I'm stretching this Atlanta Falcons defense out. If I'm the Giants, I want to see if they can cover, our weapons deep. And I'm seeing if these guys are going to, play with the correct technique, because last week we seen on that goal line, of course, Mike Evans is really hard to stop because he's, very long, but TJ Green didn't look back for the football. So I'm seeing if I can get a flag. I'm just going to throw the ball deep just to see if guys are going to play with the right technique. Because a lot of the times when you throw the ball deep and people get, players get under pressure, they usually get a flag because they're not used to that type of, being out there on the island by themselves. So if I'm the Giants, I'm testing it out. I'm throwing that ball deep and seeing if the Falcons, corners and safeties can cover. And then key to victory number 3, if I'm the Giants, is K-Styles talked about it. Saquon Barkley. He's a game breaker. He's a guy that he's like Cordell Patterson. He's dangerous. He can take it to the house from anywhere on the field. So I'm putting the ball in his hands anywhere on the field as much as possible, whether it's on a screen pass, whether it's running right up the gut. I want to get him at least 25 touches in this game, because the Falcons, as we know, we're not really stout up front. Yeah, we have a solid, Grady Jarrett and the guys that we have up front. But until I see Mike Pennell Jr. out there, until I see them play Jonathan Bullard, as long as I see Steven Means out there, I'm running to whatever side Steven Means is on. If I'm the Giants, I'm running right to that side of the field. No disrespect, but we know what Steven Means is. So we running right to his side until he can prove to me that he can set the edge properly and he's not jumping outside of his gap. Whatever side Steven Means is on, if he's on the field, that's where I'm running. No disrespect to Steven Means, because I love, he's a locker room guy, but for whatever reason, like K-Style said, I don't know what pictures this man got of somebody on the Atlanta Falcons. Yeah, I don't know what pictures this man got on somebody in the Atlanta Falcons locker room, but this guy somehow, some way finds his way on the field. I don't know if you guys picked up on it last week where he was playing I think he was playing like linebacker in the 4-3. I'm like, why is this man standing up? He is not fleet of foot. Get him out the game and put Michael Walker in. But that's another conversation for another day. But I'm just gonna run the ball with Saquon Barkley, make the Falcons prove that they can stop the run. You do those three things at the Giants, you can easily put our Falcons, on their heels in this game.
You damn near hit all what I was gonna say too. But
I'm gonna start going last case style. So
no, you good. You good because they get you have the intellectual side of it.
Yeah,
I'm keep it simple, stupid. So they get that side as well. So if I'm looking at the Giants, and God knows I'm about to get this phone call by the end of the week because my homeboy is a Giants fan. So I'm about to get this phone call. But if Giants, you have to protect Daniel Jones. We know this offensive line is bad, but you got to try to protect him at all costs. Because by protecting him, you can stretch the field. Like I said, you got Galladay out there. You got Sterling Shepard. You got Tony out there. I was about to say Contavious Caldwell Pope, but I was like, nah, that ain't his name. You got Tony out there. Like I said, you got Saquon in the passing game. So I feel like if the Giants' number one thing is the offensive line must hold up. If they don't hold up, it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be a long day for them. Two, just like what you said with Saquon Barkley. You gotta let him be the engine of the offense. Use him to set up those plays for those wide receivers. Like I said, Saquon will break a home run play on your ass for about 60 yards. Only issue is he could have 120 yards on 25 carries, but one of those carries go for 60. So, So if you actually take that, if you actually add that up and take those other 24 carries to that to 60 yards, that's not a good average. But the thing is, you still have the threat there. So I use the threat to set up the long pass. And three, this is about as simple as I can say. You got to create turnovers. Like I said, as we know, this Falcons offensive line is not set. They still trying to figure out who's the right piece to go right here and where. Like I said, Matt Hennessy's not playing well. Like I said, Jalen Mayfield's played a lot better from week 1 and 2. But test him. See if he can do it 2 games in a row. See if he can play better 2 games in a row. I'll test him. And like I said, I will blitz him because you got to remember this New York Giants team is a 3-4 defense. They got 3 down linemen, so this ain't no four down lineman type of offense. They'll use it every now and then. But I'll attack that Falcons offensive line and see what they got. And that's all I gotta say on that.
It was one other thing I wanted to mention too, Mike, before y'all move on. And it could have been in the keys of victory, but I went on a little rant and got on a tangent. But I seen one of the fans put in the chat talking about Daniel Jones' mobility. That's another thing. He's sneaky. He's mobile. He's sneaky athletic. Like he's a guy that He doesn't look like he's a guy who can scramble, but he's a guy that got that straight line speed, and he's a mobile quarterback. So another thing for our Falcons is we have to be disciplined, because we know in that first Eagles game we didn't do a good job of sizing up those guys and not letting those guys get out on the edge. So that's another thing that we have to look out for. If you're in man coverage with your back turned, Deion Jones and those linebackers and even our defensive lineman has to be smart. Don't run past Daniel Jones. Stay in your lane. And if, just try to keep him in a pocket. As dumb as that sounds, he's a mobile quarterback. So keep him in the pocket if you can, because Daniel Jones will bolt out that pocket. And if you come blitzing and you don't take the right angles, as K-Styles always talks about, if you don't take the right angle, Daniel Jones, he gets a step on you. We've seen that big run he had against Washington where it was called back due to a holding, but he broke up the sideline, and those guys couldn't catch him, even the corners. So he's a lot faster than you think. So it's always, with mobile quarterbacks, that's always another thing that you have to keep in mind. Have to take the proper angles, have to stay in your actual spot. Whatever you fill the gaps correctly. Don't jump outside of your gap.
Exactly. The one thing a lot of people don't know, you could be the fastest player on the field, but when you got guys that know how to take them angles, boy, that angles negate speed real quick. As Reggie Bush. As RG3.
Blasted.
As these type of guys that have speed but can't really translate it on the field, because speed is only good for you when you breaking away downfield. But when you got a lot of that traffic around you, if people, like I said, it's all about the angles. We've seen Grady Jarrett chase down motherfucking speed receivers like a mug.
I mean, we saw what he did to Jalen Hurts. He chased him down. That man ran straight out of bounds. Brady Jarrett was after him. Brady Jarrett ain't the fastest guy.
Right. See, the thing is, like I said, that's one of like technique 101s, but like I see a comment in here they was talking about, well, that's the thing they learned since Pop Warner. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Once folks start getting into high school, all that fundamental shit go out the drain depending on the coach. Because a lot of coaches don't really teach players proper techniques anymore. And that's why it's been such an increase in injuries as far as this game been for a long time. The people don't know the proper way, the proper techniques.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, K-Styles, when you were talking about, like, don't just rely on your athleticism. Like, that's why Dean Pease always says, I want smart players, not players who just go off athleticism. Like, everybody in the NFL is athletic to some standpoint. You made it to the professional ranks because you're athletic. So you can't just rely on, I'm athletic. You have to be athletic, but you also have to be smart. And being smart is knowing what angles to take, knowing where to be on the field. Like you guys know, I love Bleedy Way Wilson. He's not fast. He's smart. He's always in the right place at the right time, doing the right things, playing with the right technique. He's never it's never about being the most athletic. We see athletic guys all the time make mistakes. So we can't rely on our athleticism. We have to be smart. And that's what I was talking about being disciplined. Like in the first game, you could be aggressive, but you also want to be disciplined. If you're coming on the blitz, if you see him getting ready to, bolt out the pocket, you think he might bolt out the pocket. Like that's what I was referring to. Don't run past a mobile quarterback, because you leave, you run and leave your lane. That quarterback 9 times out of 10, like we seen in that first game, they're going to bolt out of that pocket, and then they're going to, go right up in the gap you're supposed to be in. That's where they're going to escape out of that gap. So we heard Dean Pease talking about that, like in the first game that we had, certain guys on every single play was supposed to be keeping the edge on their side. But for whatever reason, they were trying to make a play jumping out of their gaps and stuff like that. And sure enough, Jalen Hurts was able to roll out the back, escape out of the other side because of guys, not being disciplined, not doing their job.
You just said a handful there. And for people that didn't understand what he just said, I'm gonna give you the keep it simple, stupid thing that he just said. Hold your goddamn contain. That's it. Hold your contain. Hold your lanes. Hold your outside.